What's up, everybody? It is August 26th, 2020. Ooh, slight pause there,
Just
but
barely.
we made it through.
hmm
I'm your host, Justin. As always, I'm joined by Perry.
Hey, Justin. Today I realized something. I always thought that happiness started with an H. Turns out it starts with U.
I saw where you're going with that. It took me a second, but then when I caught it, I was like, yeah, here it comes.
Nice. It's like a frisbee. Didn't come right to you,
Yeah,
but it
yeah,
got there.
but in a roundabout way.
Right. Yeah. It's worse when jokes are like a boomerang instead of a frisbee, and
And
you're
they
the
come
only one
right
that
back
gets
at
it.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
are,
just thought of that.
are you Pollen?
No.
Because I've been staring. Achoo!
Oh my God.
Someone left that in the comments on the last episode.
Whew. I guess I asked for that.
Yeah. So I was like, if Perry doesn't use that, I am.
Yeah, I guess I asked for that. That's
Yeah.
good. I like that. I
Um,
like that. And we both kind of played on you, the
yeah.
word
Yeah.
you. Yeah, nice. Choreographed.
Not at all. But
Uh-huh.
uh,
Yeah. All right.
um, today we're going to be talking about uh, it's kind of our sleeper episode, but more so just like, I'm not talking about guys who are going undrafted, but like guys who you're willing to take a little bit of a reach on that you
Right.
want on your team. You know, these are guys that are being undervalued and for their ADP, and you find on your team quite often.
Yeah, these are the way I kind of interpreted this and is more of when I look at these guys and I look at the players around them, this is the guy I'm taking. And if I need to, reach up one round to make that happen or whatever the case may be, or, kind of skip a few ranks in ADP to make sure I get them, then I'm probably going to do that. That's kind of how I interpreted this because I think they're going to outperform their value. And I would be worried that they wouldn't make it back to me. So,
All right. Man, I've had some long days. I'm excited. Football season's almost here. Almost here.
yeah,
I can see the light at the end of the very dark tunnel we have had.
you know, um, nothing's been canceled yet. So I think that's awesome. Uh, I'm becoming more and more positive that we will see some football played. I just I'm concerned about travel for teams. I think that that's going to be a challenge, but I hope the NFL is putting a lot of thought into how they're going to handle all that. Because like places like the NBA they're not traveling at all. So man, I hope we have a full season. That would be such an awesome like gift. I just want to watch football. So
Yeah,
bad.
what a way to end 2020. Actually have a
With a
football
Broncos
season.
Super Bowl. I totally agree, man.
Oh man,
Hell yeah.
just having a Super Bowl would be cool, but
Yeah. Drew Lock MVP. I agree.
you and Drew Lock are the only people thinking that's a possibility right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You're not wrong. Killer analysis.
All right,
Should we jump into
first,
what?
make sure you guys subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah.
Leave a comment. We're giving away an autographed Cam Akers football, an autographed Jared Cook jersey. Actually, we'll be giving those away in a couple days. So make sure you guys subscribe, leave comments, and then you could catch us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, everywhere where podcasts are.
Yeah. And what do they have a chance to win, Justin, if they do subscribe
I
and comment?
I just went over that. A Cam Akers autographed football and a Jared Cook autographed jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What else? I don't know. I was
My,
seeing if the list would go on. I don't know.
my love and admiration.
I gotta admit, that's pretty nice. I've had it for a little while now, guys. And if there's anything worth winning, it's that.
It's one of a kind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just send your Jared Cook jersey to me,
And you'll
and
send them
and just
my
and just
love and
yeah.
admiration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can re-earn it. I'll get it again. Don't worry about it. but I need that Jared Cook jersey.
All right, let's get into some
I didn't work
football
today, guys. I've got a
news.
lot of energy.
I'm
Okay.
so jealous.
Got to work tomorrow, though, so that's going to be rough. Okay. Let's jump into some news. Again, training camp going on right now. There's a lot of news I don't really care for, or it's just not telling me a whole lot. But there is some kind of interesting like injury stuff that's going on. Players taking snaps with the first team, that sort of stuff is somewhat of what I pay attention to. But I don't know. Kalen Ballage is the first piece of news I want to talk about. Kalen Ballage has been released by the Dolphins. I don't think that's much of a surprise to anybody. Anybody that was expecting Kalen Ballage to be fantasy relevant this season was sorely mistaken. But I do think that I'm glad that it's happened, and it just clears things up here for Jordan Howard and Matt Breida just a little bit. I think it's pretty clear that even though Patrick Laird and Myles Gaskin are still there, it's going to be pretty much the Jordan Howard, Matt Breida show. Matt Breida probably being the lead back in terms of percentage of snaps and carries, but Jordan Howard getting a lot of goal line work.
I actually have Howard as the lead back there, just barely on for my projections.
I like Jordan Howard. I've always liked Jordan Howard. I hope that happens. I'd love to see Jordan Howard just prove to everybody again that he is a worthy NFL running back. For some reason, people just love to say that Jordan Howard isn't very good, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. Jordan Howard is good. So, David Montgomery was able to walk off the practice field, just to be clear, for anybody that only read the headline. But once he got off the field, he did take a cart into the facility, which I guess was a little bit further away than it normally is. So that's why he took this cart. It is looking like a strained groin. Nothing major is what we're hoping. I'm really sorry about the dogs barking.
Yeah, not much you could do about it, though.
Literally nothing I can do about it. My landlord owns a dog boarding business, so.
But on the positive side, you get to play with dogs all day.
No, I don't. She does not like it when I go hang out by the fence. She's told me so. Anyways, David Montgomery is going to go have some more evaluation to determine exactly what's going on. They are positive that he'll be ready for week 1, but it's certainly something to pay attention to. It's certainly something that I'm worried about. Tariq Cohen moves up a little bit for sure. So I think Tariq Cohen's already undervalued. He should be moving up your guys' boards a little bit here. Probably not a starter if you can help it, but somebody that if you had him as depth could be really, really good.
Especially in PPR, obviously, dude's a pass catching machine.
Yeah. Staying with the Bears, on August 23rd, which was Sunday, the Bears had to postpone practice due to some COVID tests, where 9 tests came back positive. Turns out those were all false positives. So that's good. But it's also bad that they got so many false positives.
Did you see how many there was in the NFL as a whole?
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, I want to say it was 74 positive tests, and then 70 of them were false positives.
Yeah. So clearly they've got to get that figured out. Otherwise, it's going to be a really awkward fantasy season if every week 70 players are being told they can't play until it gets figured out. But so they were able to resume practice later on Sunday. So, if you saw that and freaked out a little bit, don't worry. Every single one of them was a false positive. So that's great. Tyrell Williams is considered week to week after suffering a torn labrum. That's in your shoulder. If you did not know that, Justin.
Thank you. I did after researching a bunch of other injuries right before Dr. Ben came on the show.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I would be surprised if you played week 1. Just from my personal experience working in the physical therapy field for a while. I would be surprised if Tyrell Williams plays week one. If he lands on that shoulder one time, it's going to be very painful. Also, getting that arm up above his head is going to be pretty tough. So I could imagine him not playing week one and maybe even a little further.
I would say he's the type of player that even if I had him on my roster, I'm probably not putting him in week one because I want to see how it pans out.
Right. Henry Ruggs moves up the board for sure a little bit. I'm not ready to start Henry Ruggs week one personally. I'm sure there are some people that are big believers in Henry Ruggs, but I'm not quite. I'm not starting a Raiders wide receiver week one. Flat out, I will find another option.
I can't see myself doing that in a standard like format of a league, but if you had like some depth like to starting positions in the league, I don't think I'm as opposed to it as you are to putting really only Ruggs though. That's the only one I would even consider.
Mm-hmm.
But like if maybe like if you had three or four pass catchers in your lineup, then I could see it.
I don't know. I mean, I guess like one of them is probably going to do something. I just don't know which. It could also just be all like Darren Waller.
It could.
And Josh Jacobs. It could be. Which both of them happy to start.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just not a game I really want to play. Personally. Brandon Ayuk on Sunday came up and like held the back of his leg during he's running a route and kind of came up lame, holding the back of his leg, which is hamstring basically. They're saying it's pretty minor, something that they shouldn't worry about all that much. But with Jalen Hurd, Deebo Samuel, both going down, Deebo Samuel probably not going to make week one. Jalen Hurd out for the season.
And they just signed another wide receiver today as well.
Yeah, not a good sign. I was moving Brandon Ayuk up my board for sure.
Yeah.
Now I'm a little worried about it, and the hamstring is just this lingering thing.
Yeah.
I'm almost willing to guarantee that at some point this season we will have another headline that is Brandon Ayuk with hamstring strain. At the least, torn ACL at the worst.
There's a player that I actually did a draft yesterday. I think it was no, not yesterday, day before. I did a draft recently. Point is, and I actually with my last pick, I took Kendrick Bourne in the very last round. He's been getting praise there as being the most consistent wide receiver in camp. All this good talk about him, but also with all the receivers going down, he's a dude who I could see having a few big weeks at the beginning of the season till these wide receivers are able to get healthy.
Yeah, I mean, that's a. I don't know. Again,
it's deep. It's deep. Trust me.
It's deep.
That's not a.
Maybe best ball.
Oh, best ball. Yes, I would love to have him in a best ball.
But I don't know if you play best ball. I don't really play best ball.
I'm not starting him week one. Again, like I said, I'm not taking big risks week one. I'm playing my safe guys who I know are getting me points. But if he has a great week and like seems to be the favorite target there, then week two he's already on my roster and I'm throwing him in. And if not, I'm dropping him.
After the 50 positive COVID cases after week one could be the championship. So I want to win week one.
Half your league will tie.
Nick Foles inches past Mitchell Trubisky as the starter for the Bears, which personally I think this is great news. I want Nick Foles to be the starter for all Bears involved. I think Mitch Trubisky's
but this is why I hate it, is because he inches past him. Like, why isn't it like Nick Foles is the clear starter?
I think that has a lot more to do with the fact that they really want Mitch Trubisky to be the guy,
I know,
right?
but
They
that's why I hate it. I want them to give up on him already. Like, let it go.
But it doesn't really, for me, it doesn't, as long as Nick Foles starts, I don't care how, like, ooh, I hope he, like, we're not, screw that. Nick Foles is a better quarterback. We
Yeah.
all know it. Everybody else knows it. It's just the Bears organization that put a lot of hype and effort into Mitch Trubisky. And last season, it clearly did not work.
Yeah.
If Mitch Trubisky, like, improves by, like, double, like, if he's a whole nother player in 2020,
I heard he has
then
fire in his eyes.
yeah, he had something in his eyes last season. Well, anyways, if Nick Foles is the starter, which I hope it happens, I think it will happen. At least eventually, it'll happen for sure. This season, that's really good for Bears offensive players. Do you concur?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
You
we
just
talked.
you didn't say anything.
No, yeah, just we had said this a few months ago, I believe, that we both thought that it'd be better for their weapons if Foles was their starter.
Yeah, you just didn't say anything. So, what do people get if they subscribe, Justin? What do they have a chance to win?
They could win a Cam Akers autograph football and a Jared Cook
No, no, no.
autograph jersey.
Your love and admiration. The Jared Cook jersey's going to me. You just figure it out, man.
I mean, you're gonna have to fight a fan to the death, or,
Fine.
or close to it at least.
I get Han Solo on my side.
I'll
You
let them
guys
choose
get-
someone too. They're
You
gonna.
guys get that football.
Who's that autograph?
That
Perry
one?
Cooley.
Yeah, I'll write my name on it with crayon.
Ooh.
Okay. I
Is
don't
that
know.
is that all the news we have, Perry?
Yeah, I just don't want to. I have the attention of the crowd right now. I don't want to give it up.
Okay, well, we're moving on to news no one cares about.
Okay. Buy attention.
There's plenty more to come. The Carolina Panthers are reuniting with quarterback or are reuniting quarterback PJ Walker with wide receiver Cam Phillips, Walker's favorite target from the XFL. So now the top receiver and quarterback from the XFL that were on the same team are both signed to the Panthers.
I feel like it's not fair for me to be like, of course the XFL didn't work out because I'm, COVID. But I mean,
I honestly think it would have worked out if it wasn't for that, at least for another year.
yeah, probably. I don't know. I'm the XFL, like a competitor to the NFL, as bad as I want it to happen. Well, no, I just don't think it's happening.
Oh no, I don't think they were.
Not a beat, just a competitor. I don't even think anybody's ever going to come
No,
close.
I'm saying I don't think they're even trying to be a competitor. I think they're trying to be like a class below, like almost a semi-pro. All right.
Okay, cool.
Former Washington employees have new claims about Daniel Snyder, and it's just more craziness.
I can't believe that man still owns a football team.
I really don't think he will by the end of the year.
And he shouldn't.
Yeah. All right. And on
That's it?
on a lighter note though,
Oh, okay, cool.
that's not happy news, but on some more happy news, the Chargers celebrated National Dog Day and brought a bunch of dogs into their practice and let them run around and took pictures with them.
Nice.
It's pretty cool.
I like that.
And then we have at the Rams training camp, one of their roster hopefuls they've been covering on Hard Knocks.
Mm-hmm.
Clay Johnson was on a phone call with his dad when I guess his dad was the strength coach for Brett Favre, and Brett Favre got into their video call, like came in unannounced, and the guy's reaction was, "Oh my goodness, Papa Favre," which was pretty awesome.
I like that.
Yeah. He
Brett
gave
Favre's got to have that old man strength too.
Yeah, he gave the guy some advice and stuff, which was cool. But the guy's reaction when Brett Favre hopped in the call was amazing.
I like that. That's funny.
And that's all the news no one cares about.
Cool. Well, should we jump into these? I don't know. I don't know. Sleeper targets. I don't know what to call them.
Let's start with what position do you want to start with?
Well, I have one running back, two wide receivers, and a tight end, and I believe you have a quarterback.
Yeah, and I threw a second one on there about
Second
2
quarterback?
minutes before we started this show.
I didn't even want to do it.
Yeah, I know. That's why I threw a second one on. I chose one for you, Perry. That's how much I care about you.
I told you guys that love and admiration. You don't need the Jared Cook jersey. Well, I think
let's
you
start
better go
with
first.
Okay. Well, I mean,
because you got more than me now.
yeah, but I'm gonna do one running. Let's do our running backs. We both have one. All right, that sounds good. All right, so my running back target is this guy's like he's going later in drafts, and I like him because he isn't necessarily like he's not the starting running back for his team. Like it's not sealed deal, which is why he's being drafted as low as he is. And like that works out for you because he is going to be the starting running back for this football team. His name is Cam Akers. He plays for the Los Angeles Rams. We saw last year there was no starting running back for the Rams. They had a bunch of backup running backs that they tried to use in different ways, and there was no clear number one running back. That's what this guy was brought in to do. He's a perfect fit for their system. He like excelled in college in broken tackles and in the same running scheme that they run on the Rams. So he's walking right into the same system he's used to doing for the last 3 years. So there's no change in the offense. He just comes in and continues to do what he's doing, and he's a better running back than any of these other running backs on the team. So he should get this job, and the vacated touches there is insane with Todd Gurley gone. Like Todd Gurley was force-fed this ball. If he could get 70-80% of the touches that Gurley was getting when he was there, then this guy's going to be, running back 2 that you're getting, round 8, round 7, like depending on your draft. But I just think this guy could be a league winner.
Okay. And what can people win if they subscribe?
My love and admiration.
And
a Cam Akers autograph football.
Come on, man. Like it had to happen.
And of course I had to fight it.
Cool. Yeah, no, I like it. I like Cam Akers a lot. He better be like the guy, right? Like they're so stupid if they don't make him the guy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's a lot of teams out there where I feel that's the case with players, but this is a situation where I feel like the coach here also is not an idiot. And the coach can see that clearly, and he's going to do what he should do for the betterment of his team. Because there's plenty of teams out there where there are guys out there where you're like, that's the guy. But does their coach know that, Matt Nagy? Does the coach? So.
Okay, cool. So my running back is Kareem Hunt. And you just mentioned league winner. I think Kareem Hunt definitely falls in that category as a possibility. Just talking about his handcuff value alone, Kareem Hunt is the most important handcuff in the NFL.
Yeah, and it's so hard to even use that term for him because he has standalone value.
Right. It's a pretty unique situation with Kareem Hunt. The only thing I can think of that would be similar is Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman from a few years ago.
Yeah.
But I think that this is even beyond that. I think that Kareem Hunt is far better than Tevin Coleman ever was or ever will be. If Nick Chubb were to go down, Kareem Hunt is a top 5 play. Uh, honestly,
I think Kareem Hunt is better than Tevin Coleman and Devonta Freeman ever were or will be.
Devonta Freeman had one really good year.
Yeah, but so did Hunt, and then
Right.
he had another one.
Right. I yeah. Anyways, Kareem Hunt last season, after missing the first 8 games, coming into a new offense, and clearly they didn't want to give him the bulk of the work because Nick Chubb was doing very well. And just to be clear, this has nothing to do with Nick Chubb. I think Nick Chubb is a really good running back, a really, really good running back. And Nick Chubb would probably be like a top 5 pick if Kareem Hunt wasn't there.
Yeah.
But Kareem Hunt is there, and Kareem Hunt's going to get work. And in the 8 games that he did play, he was a running back 26th on a new team in a system where it was a new system, and it was a team that I don't even know if they knew they wanted to keep him yet. Now,
No, yeah, I don't think they did.
right, the fact that they put a second round tender on him this season tells me that they value him very high, and they did want to keep him. They did not want to get rid of Kareem Hunt this offseason, or else they would have not put a second round tender on him, which we all know nobody was willing to pick him up for a second round pick. So Kareem Hunt will be a big part of this offense. I think he'll be a bigger part than what he was last season. I think that he will be an RB2 pretty easily. I think he could finish the season if Nick Chubb stays healthy all season. Kareem Hunt could probably be like running back like 19-ish, which is insane considering he's the second running back on his team. And he's currently, oh boy, I just had it pulled up. I'm sorry. He's currently the 30th ranked running back in standard. And then in half PPR, I just had him again and I lost it. He's even lower. No, he's not. 28 in half point PPR, which is what I play. So he's the 28th ranked running back in half point PPR, and I see there an avenue where he lands at like 19, which is where Melvin Gordon is right now. So this guy could just win you a league without Nick Chubb getting hurt. And if Nick Chubb were to get hurt, you could theoretically have a top 5 running back. So Kareem Hunt, I will be grabbing him for sure as many times as I can. He's going right next to Cam Akers. That's a really hard decision for me, for sure. But then, there's Ronald Jones right in there. There's Devin Singletary. There's Raheem Mostert. I think I'd take Kareem Hunt over all those guys.
Yeah, no, I like that one a lot. Like you said, if either one of those guys goes down, the other one skyrockets. Mm-hmm. But the room for the skyrocket for Kareem Hunt is a lot more from where you're getting him.
Right. Nick Chubb is currently ranked 11th for running backs. So Nick Chubb clearly is going to be a lot more expensive than Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to do your 2 quarterbacks here?
All right. You talked me into it.
Okay, cool.
All right. So the first one, if you've watched this show at all, it's not going to be a huge surprise. That's Drew Brees. Drew Brees is, last year, I kept going over since he returned. I've said this many times. When he came back from his came back from his injury last year, he was the QB3 from that point forward in the season. But what I haven't pointed out is from week 12 forward, so the last 5 weeks of the season, he was the QB1. He had the most fantasy points in the last 5 weeks of the season. Now, there is a little asterisk next to that because Lamar Jackson played 1 less game than him and had 2 less fantasy points. So, that I assume that Lamar Jackson would have had more than 2 fantasy points if he had played. But
I think that's safe to assume.
Yeah, but still, being the number 2 quarterback for the last 5 weeks is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And he's made a career of being pretty good. He has been one of the most accurate quarterbacks that we've ever seen. This dude is just amazing in every way. He's led teams year after year with thousands and thousands of yards, 4,000 yards over like almost every year that in his whole career for over a decade, almost 2 decades, except for last year when he was injured for the majority of the year. And he still threw, or not the majority, but for a large portion. And he still threw for almost 3,000 yards, just 21 yards short. Like, this dude is a beast. And we haven't seen a decline. He did get injured. That happens in football. And people are forgetting about what he did after his injury, which is important. He came back healthy. He performed. There's no reason to think that he's going to play at a declining level.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I love Drew Brees. The other quarterback I'm going to mention, I'm not going to go into as much depth because, as I said, I added this guy about 2 minutes before we started talking. But the other one, and this one is a little bit of a reach, Perry. This one is a guy that you could get. I'm probably not grabbing this guy in a one quarterback league, but if you
Could I guess?
go for it.
Baker Mayfield.
No, I do like Baker quite a bit more this year than I have previous years, though. It's Ryan Tannehill. Because he does have a rushing upside. I believe they will throw the ball a little bit more than last year, not a huge amount more, but also he did great for fantasy once he was the starting quarterback on a good team. Like last year, I think he's being slept on. As I said, I don't want him as my QB1 in a one quarterback league. I'm not taking this guy. But in any sort of super flex or something like that, if you wait on that second quarterback, you could get Tannehill pretty late, and I think he's going to perform for you and be efficient again.
Yeah, for me, Ryan Tannehill is a strictly two quarterback league, which I think you kind of mentioned. But for me, it's strictly two quarterback league. I will not be taking Ryan Tannehill in a one quarterback league, and that's nothing to do with Ryan Tannehill. It has everything to do with the fact that there's just so many good quarterbacks out there.
Yeah.
That I just don't really need to take the risk on Ryan Tannehill returning to what he was in Miami, which could happen. I mean, let's be realistic. It could happen. And when I could take Aaron Rodgers, who's currently the 13th ranked.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
like I said, this like a super flex or 2 QB league where I'm doing this with my second quarterback.
Right. Okay. Wide receivers?
Yeah, I'll let you start.
Okay, I had a beard hair in my mouth. I'm really sorry about that. Sorry everybody had to watch that. Okay.
I know what you mean.
Comes with the territory. You grow a beard, they end up in your mouth. Jalen Reagor. So I have two wide receivers, but my first one here is Jalen Reagor. You and I have gushed about Jalen Reagor for most of the offseason. I strongly considered putting Justin Jefferson in here. But I'm a little concerned with how they're going to use Justin Jefferson. I think he's better in the slot, and I don't think there's any guarantee that he's going to be playing the majority of his snaps in the slot. I also I know that the Vikings threw two wide receivers. They were fourth from last at volume going to wide receivers last season. So I'm just a little concerned about Justin Jefferson getting to the same level of targets that Jalen Reagor's probably going to get to, mostly because Marquise Goodwin has opted out of this season. Alshon Jeffrey probably going to start the season on the PUP, and Deshaun Jackson's 34 years old. So Jalen Reagor, very good chance that he's the number one wide receiver after week one when Deshaun Jackson gets hurt. So Jalen Reagor, I think that he gets to 100 targets this season in his rookie season. I don't expect him to be super efficient with it all, but the opportunity will be there. Carson Wentz is a capable quarterback for sure. I don't see why Jalen Reagor isn't fantasy relevant. Wide receiver 2 definitely should be in the cards for him, and he's currently ranked much lower than a wide receiver 2 right now. So there's huge value in Jalen Reagor for a very, very low price.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like you said, we both gushed about him. I love that. in that draft I was talking about, I was super upset because I somehow did not see his name and someone else drafted him. I was very upset about that. Yeah, dude's amazing talent in a wide receiver core with very little competition.
Right. Right. Cool. What wide receiver do you have?
This is another guy I've talked probably hours on this show about. Brandon Cooks.
Very coolly. No, sorry.
uh, I love Brandon Cooks. Like, this dude is an extreme talent that's proven over the years in the NFL. 2018, he is the wide receiver 13. 2017, wide receiver 15. 2016, wide receiver 11. 2015, wide receiver 14. Like, he averages, being with all those the past those 4 years or 5 years, he's averaged being the wide receiver 13 over the last 5 years, over as he switched to three different teams. Because a lot of times pass catchers have a problem when they move from one team to another, getting into the system, and they may struggle the first year. That has not been the case with Brandon Cooks. He is an anomaly in that, and that doesn't seem to affect him at all. In fact, he's been over 1,000 yards every season that he switched teams. It's just great statistics for him.
Brandon Cooks for me is the same as Jordan Howard, where everybody wants to tell you why Brandon Cooks isn't going to be good this season for the last like 4 seasons, and yet he's good. Like,
Yeah.
it's incredible that people still just want to be like, Brandon Cooks is like, just, you know, he's a boomer bust player, and it's just like, no, he's not.
No,
Brandon Cooks is good.
he's
People are just stuck on the
consistently booming.
yeah. It's weird to me that people just, oh, Brandon Cooks got traded again. Guess he's terrible.
Yeah, we've gone through this. It's Groundhog Day. We've gone through this 3 other times, and all 3 times he was great.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason. And he just got a quarterback upgrade.
Yes, there's no doubt about that.
Last time, that was the argument with Brandon Cooks. Oh, well, now he has a worse quarterback. He still did great. Now he's got a better quarterback, so now he's got concussion issues. You know, like, there's tons of players who have had concussions in the NFL. He's had, I believe, 3 concussions over the span of 5 years. I'm not saying having 3 concussions is good, but I'm saying that is not a crazy amount. Like,
Brandon Cooks played 10 games his rookie season. He then proceeded to play 16 games for the next 4 seasons, where he then played 14 games last season. It's not like he's injury prone. The guy's gonna be out there. He's probably gonna have 1,000 yards, and he's probably gonna have like 5 to 7 touchdowns.
yeah.
And he's the 38th ranked wide receiver.
Yeah, his catch percentage was so low last year too, probably because of bad quarterback play, which was mentioned as why you should not like him when he went to the Rams.
And the huge amount of mouths to feed on the Rams.
Yeah, and now he's going to a team that doesn't have either of those problems.
Mm-hmm.
So you should see an increase there as well. Like, there's tons of reasons that you should be grabbing him much higher than where he is currently going. That does not, the argument against it does not make any sense to me. And it's mind-boggling.
Right. Okay, mind-boggling. So like I said, I have a second wide receiver, and okay, it's not because he plays for Denver, it's because he's really good. So Jerry Jeudy, and I know I went with 2 rookie wide receivers, but this year's rookie wide receiver class is so good
and falling into great situations too.
Yes. So Jerry Jeudy, I will fully come out and say that his downside right now is not knowing what Drew Lock is going to do. There's a world where Drew Lock is terrible. That I fully acknowledge that, and I have mentally prepared myself as a Broncos fan for it. But Jerry Jeudy is quite possibly the best NFL prospect at wide receiver in the last 5 to 7 years in terms of ready to play. I think that there's been other guys that came in that we expected to get a lot better and then did. Jerry Judy's ready to rock right now. CD Lamb might have a bigger future, but it's insane to me that CD Lamb is being drafted ahead of Jerry Judy. Jerry Judy is the best route runner in this draft, hands down. With the shortened offseason due to COVID, it's going to take less for Jerry Judy to be ready to go than it is for CD Lamb. So please don't draft CD Lamb ahead of Jerry Judy. I think that that's really just inadvisable. Am I wrong, Justin?
No, not at
Oh,
all.
okay, cool. I want to make sure we're on the same page there. I also think it's really nice that Jerry Judy doesn't need to be the wide receiver one on his team. So the pressure isn't incredibly high, right? I know CeeDee Lamb doesn't either, and I'm not necessarily comparing those two other than the fact that CeeDee Lamb's going way earlier. But Cortland Sutton's there. Cortland Sutton has proven that he can handle the number one role. All Jerry Judy's going to do is take a little pressure off of him, and Cortland Sutton's going to get the double teams. I don't see Jerry Judy getting the double teams anytime soon, which is great. The fact that you're getting him so late in the draft means you don't need him to be a wide receiver one. I think even if he was a wide receiver 3, you're already winning. You already have like a net win there because right now he's ranked as the 52nd wide receiver.
Yeah.
But yeah. Behind Preston Williams, Golden Tate. He's right ahead of Henry Ruggs and Brashad Perriman. That's insane.
I really think he could be what Sutton was last year. Like to where Sutton, because like he's being drafted around where Sutton was last year. Right. And I think he has the potential to come up there fantasy wise up to that wide receiver 2 and to be a week to week starter.
I think the potential's there. I don't think it's up to him. Like I said, it's up to Drew Lock. And if Drew Lock can feed
the productivity from 2 wide receivers, that's going to be what it is.
Drew Lock doesn't need to be a top 5 quarterback to handle feeding 2 wide receivers.
No, Jared Goff did it last year.
Jared Goff was sneaky good last year, actually. But anyways, Jerry Judy. I think like I see him more as like Terry McLaurin from last year. Terry McLaurin was definitely startable. Maybe a little bit more consistency though, because his route running is so good. But I mean, the fact that people have him as like a wide receiver 5, I think is just it's your gain if you draft him.
And man, there's a lot of wide receivers that I value more than people. I feel like I could do an episode where I chose 8 of these guys.
Yeah, the wide receivers were pretty crazy. Especially these rookies, man.
Yeah. There's a bunch of them. And then a lot of these second-year wide receivers, too. You just remind me when you're talking about Terry McLaurin. I love guys like DK, and I loved Debo until the injury. But, all right, let's get into these tight ends, though, Perry.
Okay.
I got Mike Gesicki as mine.
I figured.
Yeah, I love that guy. He goes pretty late in drafts, which adds to this because I usually don't grab a high profile tight end. And he's I mean, I talked about it like what was that last week when we went through our rankings. His metrics are incredible, so I'm not going to go over that again, but they're just ridiculous. Guy's a freak athlete, top tier of the top tier athletes in the world. And his catch rate is insane. But on top of that, if you just go off of like looking at the back end of his stats last year, because I mean he's a young tight end, he's still getting used to the NFL. In the last the last 6 weeks, he was the tight end 4 in the NFL. And he's like he had a little breakout season, like started to have a breakout like season in the back half. And so I think that continues into this season. Again, I'm going to throw the caveat on there. We don't know what happens once Tua takes the reins of this team. Right. So you can expect him to come out hot. And I think he is talented enough to where when the quarterback changes, it's not going to be a huge effect for him.
I think what you want to happen is for him to assert himself as a dominant force in that offense before Tua comes. And that way there's already plays designed for him, and Gesicki can be kind of like one of his guys, one of his first looks.
Yeah.
Because asking Tua to go to the third, fourth look is going to be asking a lot, I think, early on. So if Gesicki could be one of the first two looks in most plays run, it could be really good. But he's going to have to establish himself as, hey, like these need to be drawn up for me because look how
Yeah.
good I am.
And like I think that that's entirely possible because
Mm-hmm.
not just his metrics, because metrics don't always matter. You look at he's a freak athlete that definitely helps. Like that helps your case. But there's players out there who have that and don't perform. So that paired with how he performed at the back end, which he's a young, like I said, young tight end. Tight ends take a while to break out. Him doing that this early was incredible. So that paired with his athleticism makes me think that he's capable of this. And that's why I like getting him. I'm not completely bought in. I'm not drafting. I don't have him in my top 5 tight ends, so I'm not completely bought in. But you don't have to draft him as if he's a top 5 tight end. You draft him at the end of your draft. That's why I love this dude.
Mm-hmm. Okay. My tight end is Hayden Hurst. I've talked about Hayden Hurst quite a bit this off season. So right now, Matt Ryan's being projected for well over 600 pass attempts, close to like 620. Last season, Austin Hooper, before he got injured, was on pace for 116 targets. He finished with 97 in 13 games. Justin, do you know how many or what the percentage of top 12 tight ends is at 90 targets? So tight ends that got 90 plus targets in a season, what the percentage chance of them finishing as a top 10 tight end?
I'm guessing it's pretty high.
92.4%.
Yeah.
So that's basically saying if Hayden Hurst gets 90 targets in 16 games, he's got a 92% chance to finish as a number 1 tight end. I think there's no doubt if he plays 16 games that he'll finish with 90 targets. I think he'll get closer to 100 personally. I don't think he'll get to the 116 that Austin Hooper was at, just because I don't think Matt Ryan's going to be as comfortable with him as he was with Hooper. But that's just so top 12 would be his floor.
Yeah. Wow.
So I'm predicting that to be much higher, right? Because he's going to score some touchdowns. There's no doubt about it. He's going to have some big yardage days. I think that Hayden Hurst cracks the top 5 is not a crazy thought, right? If he scores like 7 touchdowns and has like 100 targets for over 1,000 yards, that's a really big season for a tight end. And this is an offense that wants to throw the ball big time. And
Justin, more importantly, even if they don't want to, they have to.
Right. I was just going to say, I mean, they're clearly not going to run the ball a lot with Todd Gurley. They may down on the goal line. They very may well down on the goal line, but that's on the goal line. Even inside the 20, I think they're still going to want to throw the ball until they're like within 5 yards, and then they're going to let Todd Gurley do his thing. But Hayden Hurst, man, the ceiling is really, really high with him. The floor is also very high if he doesn't get injured, and I see no reason why he would get injured. A lot of people want to point out, well, look how low his numbers were in 2019. Well, yeah, he was playing behind Mark Andrews, who is one of the best tight ends in football.
And he played great when he got like the opportunity to.
Yes, absolutely. Now he's the guy on one of the most, prolific passing offenses in the NFL with a veteran quarterback that clearly knows what he's doing.
And loves throwing to the tight end as well as to everyone else.
Yes. Austin Hooper was the number 1 tight end in fantasy before he got injured last season. Just Keep that in mind. Remember that.
And now
And
he's the
Hayden,
number one paid tight end.
yeah, and the number 3 tight end on his team or something. So yeah, Hayden Hurst, man, I'm really high on Hayden Hurst. He is starting to move up draft boards a little bit, which is starting to worry me in terms of whether or not I'm going to be able to get him. But right now, half point PPR is ranked ninth behind Tyler Higbee, which seems insane to me. I don't understand it at all. Evan Ingram, Hunter Henry, both ranked ahead of him. If you want to talk injury risk, we did that last episode about Hunter Henry and
And
Evan
Evan,
Ingram.
yeah.
So I would much rather have Hayden Hurst than either one of those guys, just based on the fact that I'm more confident I'll have him for 16 games.
Yeah, I don't argue with that at all. I can understand that. Um, man, I gotta say that Matt Ryan and that the passing offense there is growing on me more.
Yeah, uh, the volume's going to be there. It just is. And he has two of the best wide receivers in the NFL.
I my big like I try and fight it growing on me due to the narrative that Matt Ryan's good every other year on even years. And I'm like, that's such stupid logic. I can't let that be a thing. But the more I analyze the actual situation, it is actually true going into this year, and it should be true.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I mean, 2018, he had just under 5,000 yards and 35 touchdowns. Last season, he had just under 4,500 yards and 26 touchdowns. I mean, if that's a bad year, okay. so
Yeah.
so his floor is 4,500 yards and 26 touchdowns, and his ceiling is 5,000 yards and 35 touchdowns. Like, cool.
Yeah,
And
I'll take either
yeah,
of those.
so that's I love Matt Ryan. Never, I mean, he missed a game last season, but I'm pretty sure that was just at the end of the season where he just got set. No, he missed week 8, so he's missed one game in his career. So
He's
yeah,
injury prone.
he's thrown for over 4,000 yards every season of his career. He's got an MVP
He's
under his
basically
belt.
Brandon Cooks, injury prone.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I love Matt Ryan. Clearly, I've made that abundantly clear. But yeah, there's reasons why.
All right. Well, that covers our sleeper episode. So thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.
Love you.